So I'm Stephanie. I'm the program manager at University of Texas Rio Grande Valley. We have a sustainable agriculture program that includes managing a couple different sites, some on campus and one 5-acre farm, urban farm off campus, the Hub of Prosperity. And we do a lot of work around education, research, and community building on sustainable agriculture. So I met Beatriz in the fall. She joined a cohort of folks that we have at our urban farm, kind of an urban farm incubator program. So she was one of the students and attended for our 8-week sessions, and then has been caring for a plot at the farm since then. Beatrice helped us out. She hosted a really cool seed packet art event earlier this year at the farm, and looking forward to these other really interesting artistic events and programs that she can help bring to the farm. Kind of anything that creates positive experiences around agriculture for folks and gets people engaged in agriculture in new and innovative ways is really up our alley, and yeah, excited to see how that unfolds.
Thanks for joining us today. I love what she's doing, and I being an artist too, I think anything that's sustainable and natural is really important. And so can you tell us a little bit about when this started and how long you've been involved with with the university and your background?
So I've been in the Rio Grande Valley since 2017. I moved down here to do a master's in sustainable agriculture at the university. And then once I finished that, I was able to stay on as a staff member here, worked on different projects, mostly grant funded over the years. A lot of more on the research side, doing kind of soil health, cover cropping, all about how to support our region's farmers with the good research that they need to do sustainable management practices. And then also been able to, we had access to this 5-acre piece of land. It's a really cool community partnership. So the land is actually owned by the Methodist Church, not by the university, and they rent it to the university. And so we've been farming there for 5 years now. And I'm like the founding program manager for the project. So kind of got to see it from kind of an empty field of grass. And then over the seasons, we've gotten more and more of it into mixed vegetable cultivation. We have a weekly farmers market. I manage a team of students some of them are sustainable agriculture majors, some of them are other majors, and all of them get a really great chance to do a lot of hands-on learning in the space. We host some university classes and some free community workshops out at the farm. So it's just a really kind of interesting community space. It's great to be off campus because in our on-campus location, it really feels like it's for university students, which is great. But being off campus brings in other community members too. So there's like the folks from the church and the neighborhood and our farm incubator program and the university students all kind of mixing in this really interesting and innovative community space.
That is so fun. So how did this happen? How did the church end up, renting you this land?
Yeah. So the church has owned the land for 30 or 40 years, and it's always been agricultural. And they had a church member who was a farmer who kind of kept it in production for many years. And then he was aging. He was deep into his 80s, and he was ready to not care for that piece of land anymore. But it had become a really important part of the church community and their feeling of like stewardship of nature, stewardship of community. And they were really keen on it remaining agricultural. It's all surrounded by neighborhoods. So it's kind of a lingering patch of agriculture in an area that used to be all agricultural, but kind of urbanized around it. And so they wanted it to stay agricultural. They wanted it to stay green space and open to the community and kind of partner with the community in a way that like people feel welcome, even if they don't necessarily want to go inside the church building. They're like on the church grounds and part of the church community in a different kind of way. And several of the church members are professors at UT RGV. And so they had a connection with my boss, who's also a professor. And yeah, they got started talking. My boss had been looking for a place to have more space, to do more agricultural production, agricultural experiments. And it was kind of a long journey there. We had to go through like a rezoning process. The city assumed like, oh, everything in this area is already become neighborhoods. This will become neighborhood too. So it had been zoned suburban residential, and we had to go through the planning and rezoning process to get it zoned agriculture to get a more affordable rate on the water usage there. And all of that took kind of a lot of grassroots organizing within the neighborhood, community engagement, community investment. So even before we planted anything, there was a lot of people that kind of valued this space and wanted it to be this agricultural community space.
So what are the primary things that you grow? Do you have a primary crop, or does it rotate? Do you grow all year, or?
Right, it rotates through the seasons. We do have a really long growing season in the valley. We start planting in September and go all the way through June. We kind of take the heat of the summer, where it's the most hot on the plants and the people. We take it slow in July and August. But the rest of the year, we're growing all sorts of different vegetables. This time of year right now, we have a lot of tomatoes growing. We have a tomato festival every May. And the kind of the peak of the harvest, we do a variety trial each year. So we're growing about 20 different types of tomatoes, gathering data on their productivity, on their disease resistance. And then through this community festival, we gather data on their flavors as well. So we have all the different varieties out on the table and let people come and taste them and score them for us. And we use that information to decide what we'll grow the next season and kind of share with the community about which tomatoes grow well and taste great under kind of low fertilizer, low pesticide conditions. And so I know Beatriz has a really cool idea to integrate some art with that festival that we'll have this May, and perhaps do some eco prints using tomato leaves, tomato-based dyes. So I think that'll be a really fun addition.
Oh, that'll be so much fun. I'm so excited for your community to have her. And this is just a wonderful, way to engage people. I mean, growing living things is just.
Yeah, it's really powerful, especially in a community like the Valley, where we have this really long agricultural history. And it's always been kind of a few people who own land and a lot of people that are working on land, and not necessarily a just distribution of the like products of agriculture. So like we're a really agriculturally productive region that still has a lot of hunger, and people have some like hard histories with agriculture, families that have been farm workers and not benefited from the work in the field in the way that maybe they should have. So building like a positive community space around agriculture, positive experiences for people with food production, and kind of reclaiming the ways that that can be really empowering is something that we think a lot about.
Do you work with any restaurants or stores in the area to sell your vegetables, or?
Yeah, we do sell to some restaurants. We work as part of a cooperative with several other small farmers. They have like a online store, and we list our different vegetables, and kind of a group marketing effort. And then, yeah, we do sell from the farm. People come to our farm location and buy, which is great. And because we're the university and we don't necessarily have to make a profit, we also do send a lot of produce out through the church's food pantry, through our campus food pantry, to the students that work and volunteer at the farm. Pretty much all of it's finding a home somehow.
That's wonderful. And you said something about grants. Where do most of your grants come through? Are they educational grants?
Yeah, we have some educational outreach grants and research grants through the USDA. We also have some foundation funding from the Kellogg Foundation, from the Mitchell Foundation. It does feel like our federal funding options are going to be more limited moving forward. And so we're looking more on the foundation side for funding.
So what about pesticide use and Is that something that you try to shy away from or find,
Yeah,
natural
yeah, we
alternatives?
right. Our campus location is certified organic. So we have
Hmm.
like a organic inspector that comes every year and makes sure that we're following all the rules. We don't have the inspection at the off-campus farm, but we do follow all the same practices. So when we do use any pesticides, they're all things that are less toxic, less harmful, and would be organic certifiable.
What a great service you're providing to the community. Super exciting.
Yeah,
Is
and
there
super
anything?
exciting to have more art and more of like the community cultural piece alongside it as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. And this is just the beginning.
I did want to say that, Stephanie, when you were mentioning about the changing like the experience, the historical experiences that people have gone through, whenever I'm weeding the rows that we have, um, my family always taught me like try to get a job where you're not physically using your body because
Mm,
that was like moving forward for us. But since I'm getting older, I've realized that my body wants to be like outside and like doing all of this exercise.
hmm
And I find it almost like healing for my family to go back into the field and feel like I'm, part and I'm growing these vegetables that oftentimes my grandfather would only do as labor. So I do feel like it benefits, especially within our community and other fellows that I've talked to, how we have been going back and like reassess what we valued. And I think that it's just such a great experience all around.
hmm
And Beatrice, you joined this group as part of the Beginner Farmer Fellow. Um, can you tell us more about that mentorship?
Yes, I was attending some workshops at several locations, and I found this opportunity online on Instagram. And at first, I didn't know if to apply because it did have I guess it was for an audience to have a beginner farmers, and I didn't quite make that connection in the very beginning, how I could do all of this or gain all of this knowledge in order to plant and then turn into pigments. But I'm glad I did, and I was able to get a certification through there. I was able to learn about soil regeneration, also water conservation as well.
Mm,
So there were several workshops that we had to attend in order to gain knowledge, and also the mentorship that Stephanie and other student workers there that are providing along the way in order for us to plant different types of crops and make sure that we're able to keep them healthy and then harvest
hmm
them and so on, because it is a lot of knowledge to gain. For example, last Saturday I was planting corn, and then somebody mentioned to me, did you plant them in a square? And I said, what do you mean a square? And then they taught me, oh, they need to be touching. And it was just like this step-by-step process that you need to have like somebody guiding you in order to understand like how it is that you need to plant. So it is a mentorship where you are learning through workshops, and then after a while, it's going to be individual, but it does last the whole entire year. And I've been
Yeah, this
learning
is
so
our
much.
first year doing the program in that form, but it's something that we've been kind of dreaming about for the space for a long time. I think of the farm as a community farm and just kind of making some of the space available. So it's Beatrice and 11 other plots that take up about an acre and a half. And each one of them kind of has a person who is going through this fellowship program. And learning the like book knowledge and some of the like hands-on skills that you need to care for a plot and produce vegetables. And then yeah, getting the practice of doing that for the remainder of the growing season. And it's been a really great program for us so
I'm
far.
so impressed by everything you're doing. It's just mind blowing. I don't have a green thumb. I guess that's what they call it, but
Mm.
my husband does all the plant. Well, I take care of the plants out. So I water them, but he says I drown them. So I could probably use some of your education, but he takes care of orchids. So he babies them and waters them every 5 days, and they have to be watered a certain way. And, there's a
Yeah,
lot of
I'm
education going
terrible.
in.
I'm terrible at the plants that are in pots. I can do them in the ground, the like food producing ones, but like the beautiful flowers that are very picky, those are very hard for me.
Mm. Well, everybody has their forte. So, well, thank you for coming on. Is there anything else you want to share about the project, or what the collaboration, you see the collaboration being like, or anything else that we can help you with, or serve, how we can serve you?
No, I don't think so. I'm just very, very excited that Beatriz has been chosen for the funding, and excited to see what kinds of projects we can grow together.
Yeah, I could see this really being a very sustainable project that continues on and on. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you.
It was
Thank
great
you.
meeting you.
Good to meet
Thank
you
you so
too.
much. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.